Greetings, this is me again, Zahra Jawad, Facebook Live again, and so my attention divided. Okay, I've just come on Facebook Live. I pressed both buttons and to come live and start my video here, and it took a little bit late to come on Facebook Live. Greetings, Facebook. Okay, now I was not able to explain properly what I really meant in the previous video. So we come to Surah Mumtahanah and verse 4. So in verse 4 it says, those with him, those with Abraham. So there has already been for you an excellent pattern in Abraham and those with him. So now the Shias would perhaps say that those with him was Lut and his family, right? And I want to show that those with him were actually the followers of Abraham. This is what the Quran ayat means. Those with him being the followers of Abraham. And so you have an excellent example pattern in them. Excellent pattern or example. Not only in Abraham, but those with him. So those with him, the Shias, I don't know how, what is in the commentary, but this is what I wanted to show, that since they have an excellent example. And then when they said so it was at the time of Abraham, followers of Abraham. I mean, maybe Lut could be in it, because in the Quran ayat we are told that Lut, I think, was with Abraham in Abraham's time, and Abraham was in Lut's time, and they both at the same time got this message. Lut got about Sodom, people of Sodom and all this, and Abraham and Hajra, or Sarah got the message, his wife. No, they got visitors, like strange visitors coming. You can take that from Surah Zariyat and another surah, but I don't remember in what other surah, the name of the surah. But you can take that story from the Quran ayats. And if I'm not mistaken, they were both together at the same time on land, living and guiding people and all this. So my contention here is that Abraham and those with him, you will find an excellent pattern in them. And indeed the Muslims will say, maybe even the Sunnis, those with him, it meant that people coming after him or something like that. I don't know. So just to get that straight, those with him were Abraham's followers, maybe including Lut, Hazrat Lut, another prophet, but not Prophet Muhammad. You see? Because when you read the whole ayat, you see that when they said to their people, and then it proceeds to saying this, when they said to their people. So it's like there has already been for you an excellent pattern in Abraham and those with him. When they said, it continues, when they said to their people, thank God for this. When they said to their people, the Quran ayat is telling us, as you read further, like, these were the followers of Abraham. You can guess, you can see. But God, the Quran, there's a lot of, you can't interpret it in your own way. But this is I know that, but it's very, very clear. that these were the people with Abraham, and then they said, indeed, we are disassociated from you and from whatever you worship other than Allah. We have denied you, and there has appeared between us and you animosity and hatred forever until you believe in Allah alone. So why Allah so another point comes up, but that's not important, why Allah gives an example of Abraham here, when we are told in the previous ayats that about Prophet Muhammad and his followers who were exiled just because they said they believe in one Allah. Exiled from Makkah by the polytheists, idol worshippers. This is what the Quran ayat commentary interpretation means. Like context, reading the Quran ayat in context, right? This the above Quran ayat, that they exiled these people. Then he comes to Abraham, about Abraham and he doesn't say the people with him, but he says those with him. When they said to their people, so see, I got confused because I thought, oh God, the Shias are going to say, no, it's not like this. It's those with him are not ordinary people. They are like monotheistic prophets or something, right? When the Quran ayat says, Maryam, bow down with those who bow down. But then, thank God, this ayat goes on when they said to their people. So, you know how the Shias would take it, Muslims, sorry, I'm targeting the Shias only, but when they said to their people, why am I targeting the Shias only? Because every righteous believer in the Quran mentioned is Imam Ali. No, I mean, every time the righteous believer, sorry, I have this sentence structure problem. This is why I couldn't explain it in my earlier video, right? Comparing, see, taking it from Surah Jumu'ah, then taking this Quran ayat I stumbled on last night, and then going to Surah Hud now, the ayat I mentioned in my previous video. So in Abraham and those with him. Now I have to go to multilingual Quran and see what Aqa Puya says, the Shia commentary on it. But I haven't gone there, and then I can burn all the bridges, see it through all, and then come to a conclusion. So you would say that it's too early for you to come here and share this with us. But as I go on, I'll be correcting myself. I know these are not professional videos. Maybe you'll say, don't even share them publicly because you're making a fool out of yourself, or you haven't explained it properly. But I explained in one of the videos earlier why I can't even trust. I showed it. I didn't go explaining and making excuses, but you can see it that we can't even at times trust the Shia religious scholars about the interpretation of the Quran or even the translation of the Quran. Ayat. Like in Surah Fat, Ayat 9. And in Surah Nur, Ayat 33. And in Surah Azab, Ayat 37. And he made an unintentional mistake. That's another Ayat 5 maybe in Surah Azab. So he made an unintentional mistake, but the reason given by the Imams, it does not satisfy my heart when I read the Shia commentary and the narrations by the Imams explaining that verse away, that he made an unintentional mistake, which then the religious scholars have printed and given us under the ayats. You can see in the Quran, in the Quran, of the Shia, they have their own. In the Quran of the Umayyad, now I have to explain this because I have to be very careful, because then some Sunnis will say Quran only, that these Shia is wrong. They might even, get to hate. This is what the Prophet ayats are teaching, to hate the person forever. This ayat. Another point popping up, so I can lose my very important point, which I must have said just like that in the end, my last video. But now, coming back to it and look in detail, because I didn't have strength. You see, I was so overwhelmed, but I felt I had to do a little bit of introduction again about my condition and how overwhelmed I am as the Quran ayats are going against Prophet Muhammad's prophethood and truthfulness. So I have to do it again and again. So I had to do an introduction again, and then in the end, like I was all overwhelmed, and then I found out about Judah, and I said maybe these nations who were saved, they called themselves, maybe that's why they call themselves Jews, or or Judaism. Where does Judaism come from? Or Judaic people, the people of Judah, right? Judaic people who were saved. Anyways, let's see how it goes, if I can explain myself in this video. So in the end, I may have explained myself a little bit what I was trying to say. It was quite funny. For me, I had to laugh at myself. See? So, and then the hatred comes in. I've gone in a reverie now. Hatred forever. My eyes are just animosity and hatred. So these videos are like this, not professional, not the ones you will see on YouTube, live stream, Facebook. You can see my face here. So, and it's on. And this one is, here we go. One after another. These verses. So if you'd like, you can take a little, I won't be pausing here because I'm very restless. I have to get, even though I need a rest, some, intervals. In intervals, I'll be doing this as I am, and I need some rest. So, do you get this? What I'm trying to tell you is that the Muslims, wherever they come from, saying that this God says, so I'm trying to make sure, let's discovering online, on Facebook Live, and then this video. In this video, I'm doing my research. I'm finding things out and sharing as I go along. Let's see if I felt that verse in the Quran in Surah Jumu'ah against Jews, that particular verse was wrong, right? The whole verse is wrong. It's unjust. And so, because excluding other people, if you mention, okay, some people claim they are friends of Allah, even the Muslims, some of them, they don't, like they claim excluding, but when you, they claim, going slow, they claim to be friends of Allah. So even though the Jews were quiet about it, but they excluded the other people. It didn't mean they go announcing that we are the friends of Allah and all this, but excluding. And what do you do here? Indeed, we are disassociating from you and from whatever you worship other than Allah. So there, if the Jews are blamed for excluding the other people, others, please. Because these ayats, the way, translations are coming, and then you'll say, I'm wrong in translating it. And I do make some mistakes, but not such a serious mistake that, the videos are in public. You can go through my mistakes. And I've even told you that I'm making mistakes that you can correct. I've given you a way. Here they put it like they are so sure about the ayats in translations. What do you say about this? So I'm not like that. I'm saying, even though I'm publishing my videos and I'm live stream on Facebook and I'm discovering, I will be making mistakes, and I have made mistakes. But those mistakes are not like you cannot correct, or, I certainly, this is the right translation of the Quran. This is the Quran. And then we have these problems, and this is someone else's book. Even my book, if I write down, I want to remember it. A poem, I won't remember after some years. So mistakes I will make, like I couldn't remember my very easy poem. I started to, put the words around and couldn't verbatim remember my poems. Some lines of my poem also, or even the whole poem. So that's why, you may criticize me or do whatever, say whatever you like. But it doesn't mean that even though I publish it, it is not the word of God that these scribes have translated, Muslim scholars, Quran experts, and this is it. So I have to be, although it's a difficult work to do, in my condition also. I'm not an expert, I'm not a debater or things like that. Public debater. I have no practice in this, but as I have learned through the years, just being without showing my face at times and just talking like this. No skills, no learned proper going into debating and learning skills, getting from there. Okay, so please excuse some of my mistakes and not being able to explain it. Like I said in the introduction, that it is quite shocking. And it wasn't even coming out. I couldn't even explain it properly till the end. So sometimes you have to see my video until the end, I'm sorry, to understand what I am getting at. You see, the Shias will say, in Abraham, those with him. Could be even Prophet Muhammad. I mean, included, because he talks about himself. Am I being clear or am I being vague? Because here in the previous, Allah talks about him, mentioning, it's quite confusing. O you who have believed, do not take my enemies and your enemies as allies, extending them affection while they have established. You see, because Prophet and yourself, wait a minute, having driven out the Prophet and yourselves, because you believe in Allah. This Prophet, they're talking about, this Quran ayat is talking about Prophet Muhammad. Just the previous ayat, what number is it? 1. First ayat in Surah Mumtahanah. Now, what happens? In my cause, in seeking means to my approval, you confide to them affection, instruction, but I am most knowing of what you have concealed and what you have declared. And whoever does it among you has certainly strayed from the soundness of the way. Now we come to ayat 2. If they gain dominance over you, they would i.e. behave to you as enemies and extend against you their hands and their tongues with evil, and they wish you would disbelieve. So sorry, even if I can't say this. Sorry if in the middle of this, sorry. Let me just continue 3, because I might stray from my. Never will your relatives or your children benefit you. The day of resurrection, he will judge between you, and Allah of what you do is seeing. 4. There has already been for you an excellent pattern in Abraham and those with him, when they said to their people, and those with him when they said to their people. See, now it comes to Abraham and those with him. So is it including, it's not including Prophet Muhammad and his Muslims or believers? Or is it? Okay. It's just, there has already been for you an excellent pattern. So how do I go about this? Explaining to you that the Jews at that time with Abraham, those with him, including these people who called themselves Jews, who we now call Jews, and they also call themselves Jews. Didn't they feel like they were special? Allah, friends of Allah, monotheistic or friends of Allah. You know what I mean? Am I explaining myself to you? Showing you what these ayats really contain, so that you can connect it with Surah Jumu'ah ayat. Very, very delicate thing. Those with him. This. When they said to their people, indeed we are. Now, what is God doing here in this ayat? Which I can't explain. There is already, he's mentioning Abraham and those with him at the time of Abraham. And what did they do? When they said to their people, indeed we are disassociated from you and from whatever you worship other than Allah. We have denied you. So these people, those with Abraham, meaning not at the time of, not including Rasulullah and the Muslims. Thank God for this, because then you see, the Shias will say, if it was put in another way, not an example given of the past, Abraham and those with him, the Shias would have said included in it is Muhammad and the Panjatan Pak. You get it? And so that's why you have to, oh my God. So, other way. Sorry, I made a little thing here accidentally. Sorry. Do you get it? Shias would have said, now he's using, if he had not used this example and put it in this way in this ayat, the Shias would have said, in Abraham and those with him, meaning Rasulullah and Panjatan Pak, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein. And not, you see? So thank God that this ayat says, is talking about the past when in Abraham you will find a good, and those with him, when they said to their people, indeed we are disassociated from you. You get it? So it was very difficult to, thank God this ayat made it easy. That those with him, Abraham, and then that Surah Hud ayat also that I've stumbled upon now. Trying to find the Judai mountain, right? Makes it easy to say that no, those with Abraham were not Rasulullah light in, or Lut, only the prophets, only from this progeny, Abraham and his progeny. But there were some with Abraham who were his followers, not only his progeny. Because you see then what is the Sunnis' whole salawat, Durud Sharif. In Urdu they call it Durud Sharif. Wa al, blessings on Abraham were al Abraham, meaning and the progeny of Abraham. So what if the Jews felt that this was our progeny, like Moses was from Israel, or no, Egypt. Abraham was an Israelite prophet, right? These prophets came from Israel, most of them. So they considered themselves special. And was it wrong of them to consider themselves special or friends of Allah? When? They have the reason to say that, excluding the others. Disbelievers, meaning someone like Pharaoh who didn't believe in Moses' Allah, the magicians of Pharaoh who at first didn't believe. Right? So all this I have to exhaust. So what happens if those were excluded from being Jews and special people chosen by Allah as the messengers were, prophets were, or messengers were chosen by Allah? They're Israelite messengers, right? So this is what I wanted to explain. And let's see. So I'm right about this, that the verse helps me, saying that in Abraham and those with him were the nation that were saved. And even if those with him were people who followed him, his followers, Abraham's followers, which may have even become his progeny. Because if you take it from the Quran's way, the blood, Hassan and Hussein were grandsons of Prophet Muhammad. But if you take Surah Ali Imran verse, bring our sons and your sons. Who did Prophet Muhammad take as sons? Hassan and Hussein. So we have favored some above others. Isn't that also the Quran ayat? So why do you only single out the Jews and blame them? We have favored some above others. We give Solomon and David, we favored, you see. We gave, it's Quran ayat, where is it, let me see, I can pause here. Okay, I found it. Picture, and Allah hath favored some of you above others in provision. And this is Surah 16 verse 71, I think. And this one is Surah 17 verse 21. Arbery, behold how we prefer some of them over others. And surely the world to come is greater in ranks, greater in preferment. In those messengers, some we have preferred above others. Some there are to whom God spoke. Can we take this ayat? Because I thought in that Surah Hazrat Dawood. Okay, we'll take Surah Baqarah ayat. Surah Baqarah ayat. Even the messengers, God says here now. Although He says we make no distinction between messengers, in Surah Baqarah, where's this ayat? We make no distinction between prophets. Verse 136. Okay? In this verse, he says, let's see what he says. Surah Baqarah, ayat 253. those messengers, some of them we caused to exceed others. We caused to exceed others. Among them were those to whom Allah spoke, and He raised some of them in degree. And we gave Jesus, the Son of Mary, clear proofs, and we supported Him with the pure Spirit. If Allah had willed, those generations succeeding them would not have fought each other after the clear proofs had come to them, but they differed, and some of them believed, and some of them disbelieved. And if Allah had willed, they would not have fought each other, but Allah does what He intends. Right? So He's favored some above others, but He hasn't excluded them. Okay, you'll say this. Okay, so it's not direct, okay, but in other words, these disbelievers are excluded. They cannot go to the Kaaba, hypocrites, idol worshippers anymore. Surah Tawbah ayat. And another thing I wanted to talk about in this ayat, where the Surah Mumtahanah is, what is it? It doesn't open. No, religion. Where is it? Not. I lost it. So, what is it? Excluding others? No. See, disassociated from you. Disassociating from you. Who is saying this? So, whichever way the Shia, Sunnis, Muslims may come to me, I want to be able to answer all their questions, all their, reasoning that they would give me from the Quran ayats. Other ayats they will bring and try to even explain this ayat. For example, no, Zahra, it means that Abraham's progeny was with him, not his followers. So Jews are excluded, right? So even if you say it like this, what does it mean? God only favored Abraham and his progeny, and excluding even his followers from it. So what does Prophet Muhammad's Allah mean in that surah? You will say, well, he means that Jews should not have said what? That we claim to be friends of Allah. Okay, so who can claim to be a friend of Allah? Only the prophets, or even believers in Allah and His Messenger and the books and the angels, Gabriel, Michael, and the hereafter and the judgment day? Right? Who can claim to be the friend of Allah? I mean, who can reach that position? A friend of Allah. Only the Imams of Ahlul Bayt? And you excluded other people. Even if we come like that, as a Shia, if I come like that, let's see how I can answer this from the Quran ayats. What I can answer you, I can show you. So, friends of Allah. Let's see. Because the Shia say, who is the friend of Allah? Ali. Okay, friends of Allah. So they have excluded even any believer, friends of Allah. Who can come up to be Quran ayat? Let me see if I can. So if I'll have to take the Shia side, and it can go, or I want to exhaust no fear or grief for friends of Allah. Let's see the section 7. Who are these friends of Allah? And who can be a friend of Allah? Can an alim, Shia religious scholar, be a friend of Allah? Let me see from the Shia preserved tablet. Are you engaged in an affair? No, all Muslims are taught a great lesson by this verse. Just searching, who can, Prophet or Creator, who can be Wali Allah? So, the friends of Allah are those whose position requires no boundaries between them and their Lord, and they are not distant from Him. Their hearts are open and unveiled, and they see Him with all their hearts. The verse, those who believe and constantly keep from evil. Okay, this is al-islam.org, a Shia site. Okay, who can be the friends of Allah? Those who believe and constantly keep from evil. Surah Yunus, greatest success, words of Allah. I'm not. It's a very long. It is narrated from Imam Bakr, who said that it is written in Imam Sajjad's book concerning the friends of Allah, that they are those who accomplish their religious obligations and act according to the practice of Allah's Messenger. Thank you, God. Thank you. This is, again, Amir al-Mu'mineen answered, the friends of Allah are those who are sincere in their worship. They are cognizant of the depth of those matters that are of the world, whereas others attach importance to the outward appearance of the world. These believe in the idea of the permanent character of the world, and while the others do not believe in its lack of permanence. Friends of Allah were, and who the friends of Allah were. Behold, verily no fear shall be upon the friends of Allah, nor shall they grieve. Amir al-Mu'mineen once was asked about the meaning of Allah's words when He says in the Quran, they haven't, and let not their speech grieve you. Friends of Allah, characteristics of friends of Allah. See, Imam Bakr says, Imam Bakr, our 12 Shias, I'm not a Shia, 12 Shia's 5th Imam says, what does he say? 5th Imam, Imam Sajjad's son. It is also narrated from Imam Bakr, who said that it is written in Imam Sajjad's book, his son's book. Oh, sorry. His father's book, his 4th Imam. His father's book concerning the friends of Allah, that they are those who accomplish their religious obligations and act according to the practice of Allah's Messenger. Now put the same words to, it is that book concerning the friends of Allah, they are these Moses' followers. Moses' followers, Abraham's followers, Nuh's followers, Lut's followers, Yaqub, Dawood, David's followers. Because the practice of Allah's act according to obeying what David has given them, like that, right? So they can be friends of Allah, followers. Imams are not saying only we Imams are the friends of Allah. But, or Ali, Imam Ali is saying, I am the only friend of Allah. But even the followers, their followers, friends of Allah, concerning the friends of Allah, that they are those who accomplish their religious obligations and act according to the practice of Allah's Messenger. They are those who abstain from all that is forbidden and have let the transient world go by. while they are only interested in what is dear to Allah, they make a living in accordance with the laws which consider these ways of earning a livelihood lawful. They abhor, meaning hate, arrogance, shun the hoarding of wealth, and pay all the obligatory religious dues. Allah has blessed them all for what they earn, and He has also fixed a great reward for what they have saved in advance for their life in hereafter. So if the Jews in Surah Jumu'ah, if they were told that you excluded all other people and you claim to be the friends of Allah, well, this was their criteria, or maybe even stricter than this. Adhering to the Sabbath, keeping the Sabbath, the day of the Sabbath, right? And according to their laws of their messenger of Allah, their messenger, their prophets. So how can you say that the Jews, how can you target the Jews only, then wish for death? Meaning, okay, even if the Shias come like this, that they said we are the friends of Allah, but they love the life of this world, and they wouldn't wish for death. Is that right? And so when we asked them to wish for death, they didn't come true to that. But if they had wished for death, then they would. So, no, we are the friends of Allah, and why should we wish for death? Because that is a suicide, death wish. No, we are eternally alive in Allah. We don't care for our bodies or anything. And then, no, even then, why should we? Because we have to take care of our bodies and all. Like it's a blessing. Everything is a blessing from Allah. We are blessed. So it doesn't seem right. Like I cannot explain it properly. I still have this impediment. Forbidden. And have let the transient world go by, while they are only interested in what is dear to Allah. So the Quran ayat tells these Jews who claim to be friends of Allah that you still enjoy life and you do this. Perhaps, I don't know what was the thing that they were doing. Be aware whatsoever is in the heavens. So anyone, like if you follow this criteria in Islam, Shia Islam, according to our Imam, you are the friend of Allah. So, sun signifies. So this is like too much. What is this article that I searched? Introduction. Just the article name. What is the commentary? The current commentary. Sorry, what is the book's name? Can't find it here. Introduction. So I just searched here the outside here. Google search. It says, and I went inside the website, but here it says section 7, no fear or grief for the friends of Allah. al-islam.org, right? So in every way, like I know in my mind what the Shia say, but this Quran ayat which targets, which blames the Jews, right? That they say they claim, they say they are the friends of Allah. Say, O you who stand on Judaism, if you think that you are friends to Allah, Yusuf Ali translation, very interesting. Say, O you that stand on Judaism, if you know what this contains, stand on Judaism. Like I tell you Muslims, someone tells you Muslims, say, oh yeah, that stand on Islam. If you think that you are friends to Allah to the exclusion of other men, then express your desire for death if you are truthful. How would you feel? Is it right? I say this to you, Muslims, because you do exclude every other person who is not a Muslim from the Muslim community. You disassociate. You have to hate now. Quran ayat says, forever, war with those. Hate them. Never give your affection to them. So is this verse right in saying this? But they will not wish. Already, this Quran has come not asking the Jews from the polytheist side, Bani Qurayza side, Jews side, Badouan side. Badouans are hypocrites. Some of them who could. So, from the other side, please let us see who go to the Jews and live with them now and see if they will fail in taking care of us. I mean, I would trust my Jewish neighborhood more in taking care of me. Very, very peaceful, very decent neighborhood in London. We used to live there in childhood. I did not see anyone harassing me or hating me. They even took care of my kitten so well that she was now in Holiday Inn hotel. So, say, you that stand on Judaism. If you think that you are friends to Allah, to the exclusion of other men, you know what this is insinuating? What is this saying? Every other person was for Rasulullah, terrible, gone case. Infidels, liars. Okay. I don't know how to say this. If you think that you are friends to Allah, to the exclusion of other men, he's even pointing that out. To the exclusion, of course they're selected. There are only very few people who are true Muslims even, or believers. Those believers who guard the private parts and, stand up to their vows. So it becomes this criteria and this way of putting it in the Quran by blaming them, Jews, say, that stand on Judaism. This will mean all Jews. He's questioning all Jews. He's questioning the Jews. Like, for example, in Muslims, we have some friends of Allah, saints. In Christianity, they had friends of Allah, saints, and they have. In Judaism, they have friends of Allah. If you think that you are friends to Allah, to the exclusion of other men, as if in Islam, there's no exclusion of other men. Of course there is. Friends of Allah, very few people, or maybe few Muslims even. Maybe. Can you say majority of Muslims are friends of, can they say they have come up to this criteria now? We are friends of Allah. That all who call themselves Muslims, look at what here, say, you that stand on Judaism. If you think that you are friends to Allah, I mean, this is unfair. But if you don't see it, and even I am surprised at this, finding this verse recently, surprised at how God has put this, blaming the Jews. It's just not right. A debater will tell you the arguments, it fails. A good logical debater will tell you we need someone like Dr. David Wood or someone. I don't know, some other. It's just not right. This argument does not stand. According to the Islamic principles, it does not stand. But they will not wish for it ever because of what their hands have put forth. Okay, what if I tell you Muslims, again I'm repeating myself, Shias also, say, O ye that stand on Islam, meaning Muslims, believers, if you think that you are friends to Allah, or friends of Allah, to the exclusion of other men, then express your desire for death. If you are truthful. May God kill me, with this oath. Again, that with Christians it was Mubala, put a curse on your children, your women, and your own nafs, yourselves. Whoever you call now my nafs, my beloved, my soul, my liver, my heart, my life, my jaan, like my body, like we say in our language, right? Expressions. All gone, will be gone, cursed. Here he says, now wish for death to the Jews. But can you not see that in Islam, there are friends of Allah too? So what a thing to put to the Jews. What a predicament. What this thing. What do you call it? If I was a good debater, really, you see, slowly, I will find the words. So this, and then let me not get too slow, very, very slow like a turtle, so come back to this ayat now. So who were with Abraham, who had a very special, good pattern, excellent pattern in them. And they also said that now we hate you, we disassociate from you. What else in Surah Mumtahanah? Their excellent pattern, those with him, they said to their people, in Abraham and those with him, when they said to their people, we are clear of you and of whatever you worship besides Allah. We have rejected you, and there has arisen between us and you enmity and hatred forever. This even goes further to say that these followers said, my goodness, that unless there has arisen between us and you enmity and hatred forever, unless you believe in Allah and Him alone. But not when Abraham said to his father, I will pray for forgiveness for thee, though I have no power to get aught on thy behalf from Allah. They prayed, Our Lord, in thee do we trust, and to thee do we return in repentance. To thee is our final goal. Okay. Our Lord, make us not objects of torment for the disbelievers and forgive us. Our Lord, indeed, it is you who is exalted in might and the wise. Not end, but the wise. There has certainly been for you in them an excellent pattern for anyone whose hope is in Allah and the last day. And whoever turns away, then indeed Allah is free of need, the praiseworthy. Here in them would be whatever the Shias may say, it's only Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and of course Rasulullah included. Excellent pattern. But here, those with him, Shias can just not put Rasulullah and Bibi and her daughter Fatima and Ali and Hassan and Hussein. Do you get it? Said to their people, indeed we are thank God this ayat is like this, said to their people. God knows where this ayat comes from, but I don't think it comes from the true Allah and the revelation Jibreel brought. Huh? Because again I'll be repeating myself. Okay, repeating, I might in other words explain, and then some word may like get into you and you properly digest it, and I also properly digest it and say yes, because you see it's 1400 years, and the way even in my year, my life, my years of being a Shia, I cannot for the life of me, like as it goes on, finding, like I said in my previous live stream and video, that I can't. For the life of me, that it's getting worse and worse. And it's hitting me perhaps, and that's why, oh my God, I'm coming closer. But I'm still in a shock, really. And I cannot, I'm so overwhelmed, and I'm not a skillful debater or an articulate person, but I'm doing my best. So please overlook if I make mistakes. Still, I'll be uploading my videos. Even when I'm making mistakes, you see, and not pointing. You see, where these things, like for example, this ayat, I should have said, in Abraham and those with him. This tells me, it points to where the Shia's mind will go and tell me. But here, the Shia's mind cannot go. I can show you where. I hope it doesn't go there. What's the... Okay, let me just tell you, show you. Okay, here I found it in the multilingual Quran, Shia commentary of verse 4, Mumtahanah, Surah. Refer to the commentary Anam 75 and Barat 114 and Maryam 41 to 48. For there is for you an excellent pattern in Abraham, warned Azar. Oh, in Abraham. That's it. Abraham warned Azar, not his father, but the patriarch of his family, and his people against idolatry, and prayed for Azar. But when they became open enemies of Allah, he dissociated, it should be, himself from them, and left his home, his family and his people. Those with him were his wife. Okay, those with him were his wife and nephew Lut. And those who believed in Allah, oh, very good. Those who believed in Allah, who went into exile with him. So there were not only his wife and nephew Lut. See, I was wondering what the Shias will say. Only his wife and Lut, his nephew, who was also a prophet in this book, Quran. Ayats tell us, righteous servant. And those who believed in Allah, God. So where am I? I need stronger glasses. So you see, those with him were his wife and nephew Lut, and those who believed in Allah, Jews. Those who believed in Allah, who went into exile with him. So thank God, not only Hazrat Abraham's wife, but those who believed with him, those who believed in Allah. Imam Jafar bin Muhammad as-Sadiq said, just skipping some of the commentary and just his saying here, looking at it and reading now. In ancient times, every believer was poor, and a great number of disbelievers were men of large means. But when Abraham prayed to Allah to make believers strong, believers, Jews, now that they call themselves believers, strong and able to stand up to the disbelievers. This is how Imam, so they just don't want to say Jew, but they want to say pray to make believers strong. Believers at the time of ancient times. Believers of Allah. And they call themselves Jews. Oh my God. Excuse me. There's something stuck. And when Abraham prayed to Allah to make believers strong, meaning i.e. Jews, and able to stand up to the disbelievers. So the division is there, right? Like this. So these believers at the time of Abraham, they came to be known as Judaic or Jewish, Jews, right? The distinction you are making as believers, even Imam Jafar Sadiq, in ancient times. So is it their fault they call themselves Jews? Believers. They were believers in ancient times. Can there be saints in ancient times who claim to be friends of Allah? I mean, they claimed they were friends of Allah, excluding, so there were disbelievers and believers. And the disbelievers, how can the disbelievers, according to the Quran, what do you call it? Quran ayats, like what the Quran is saying about disbelievers, associate yourselves from these polytheists, infidels, and all this. My goodness. Oh, sorry, I'm getting this very like a seeing, watching thing. And so some Shia, sorry, like, some hidden from my father's. Maybe my father looked like a very lenient person who would allow you to go to church and all this, but then, he hired someone behind my back to keep a watch on me and my private life and, see to it that I don't. That's what really he brought this person. I found out later, much later, in year 2000. So it's like this. He told me my father had brought him that he saw me asleep, and I forgot that I had gone to sleep in the night. So he was talking to me. No, he came to my house. So he came to my house, and that's when he told me. That night we were not talking on the phone. So, there's this Shia thing. It's really suffocating me. Sorry, excuse me. I have to take a break, right? And then I will come back later with hopefully succinctly conclude on this, properly explain, in other words again, till we get it. But there's some Shia I and, like that collective consciousness mind belief. It's not only my blood, Shia blood, but my conditioning, but it's someone else giving me. I'm just sensing it. So this Shia person, my father bought, said that he was looking like how could he tell that I fell asleep around, in the night, like around 2 o'clock, and then I woke up again. It's like we don't have cameras, so we didn't have room cameras. I don't know, maybe my father put a camera there or something. to, spy on me. Okay, I'm having this terrible, so that's why the anger came a little bit, my tone raised and feeling frustrated. Okay, if you are, please forgive me, please go your way, but I will be, and they don't like it that I'm explaining this so well at times, to the point. So I'm struggling as they're trying to have a go at me. Right. Thank you. You know what I mean by have a go at me, attacking me. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll continue later.